Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
So we've built the frame. Well, Steve's built the frames. You can see how high it is. I couldn't reach. And also, where we built it, we was alongside another working boat. We was on the outside of it. So Steve had to keep stepping over, which was bad enough as it was, without me adding to it, because I'm a bit ditzy. Honest, Steve.
Yes.
So he's built the frame. We've got the temporary tarps on. And he's contacted a canvas maker. So they've got photos and videos, so they're going to have a look. And he's also contacted a welder. Why have we contacted a welder, Steve?
Because we need 4 of these wooden frames making in steel.
Yeah.
One behind you. Basically, the back, the middle, the front. So 4. And it'll just make it solid.
So it's going to make it more rigidity. That word. Rigid. We're not going to be doing much more work at the moment because we are now just en route to a floating market in Audlam. But the next part of it is basically, now we're drying here with the temporary tarps, it's going to be getting rid of all the surface rust, treating it. What we're treating it with? I always forget the name.
A rust converter.
Yeah.
Vat can.
Yeah. And then, all the corners and everything.
Make it go black and shiny.
Yeah.
And then you paint on top of it.
And then we'll red lead it everywhere, won't we?
Yeah.
Put loads of that on. And then at that point, we can start looking at ballast. And these water cans that are full of water.
6 of them.
Yeah, giving us our ballast.
Yeah.
They're going to eventually go then. But we've got to find out where we're getting the ballast from, really. So at the minute, all it is about us trading. And then we'll start working on this. But this is doing a great job. I couldn't help because it did cave in at one point. Luckily, Steve wasn't under it. Otherwise, we'd have been looking at a hospital job. And as you can imagine, them planks up there are scaffolding planks.
And they're 13 foot long and they weigh a ton.
So if Steve had been inside and it had fell on his head, then we would have been in trouble. And also, it was bound to have fallen on me if I was in. But I couldn't reach to hold it up. So our friend helped Steve once it caved in, and they got on with it pretty quick, didn't you?
Yeah.
And so now we're just sorting out and getting all ready, and we'll go and have a few weeks of trading. So there's not really going to be much of an update on here really now. This is it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the first thing to get really is a tub of that vat can. And it ain't cheap, but it's doable. And at least I'll probably do that one. I'll keep away from this bit because if it's going to get wet, it's going to get wet through that bit. So I could do that one, and I could do 1, 2, 3 bays there, which would allow, if we do come across any bricks, we can start putting blocks in. Yeah.
And then the next bit as well, after we've done that, before we lay a floor, we've got to insulate the side bits and put the wood panels there and panel it all around the side. Yeah. Because the floor will go in last, so you're able to lift it up, innit? To check for any leaks or any more rust coming through or anything.
There's loads of little jobs that we haven't decided yet. It's like this tarp is it's on a thin piece of wood, piece of roof batten it's called, and it's been rolled round on it and then pulled down here and then screwed there and there to hold that down. That might not be the way to fasten a proper tarp, so we might need little loops welding onto the gunnels, which is the flat bit where you walk on, or we might have wood put on there so that you can just fasten that. It all depends on what style of canvas we have.
Yeah, and that's why really we need, when we they come back to us with quotes and stuff, we really need them to come out and have a look, don't we?
Yeah.
Or they might know.
We've worked with him before, haven't we? It's the guy that did our crotch cover.
Yeah.
We did the crotch cover and the pram cover on the back, and he also did that little cover, the rain cover thing. And he remembered us from
Yeah.
He
even remembered your name, didn't he?
Yeah. When was that long ago? I don't know if that's a good thing. You remembered your name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is little jobs we can do. We can start scraping some of this so that when we do get the stuff, the problem is that you've got to be careful though. If you take too much rust off, it won't convert it. So the rust converter has got to have some rust to activate, and that's the strongest seal. Once it's done that it turns it. It's unbelievable. We'll do a video on it when we use it, just so you can see what it does. So it basically turns crumbly rust like that, and it would make that. I wouldn't have been able to pick that off there. It turns it solid, and that looks like, oh my God, you've just peeled off 1 mil of rust. For those that know about microns, but like a micron thickness of steel, which is very, very, very small, would produce something like 2 or 3 mil of rust. It blisters. You know what I mean? It's like your skin when it gets a scab on it. The scab is quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't lose layers of skin
you
if you
don't
get a
lose layers.
blister. It's the same sort of
And
thing.
steel's
Isn't
the same sort of thing. Rust makes it blister and look 10 times worse than it actually is. Obviously that, if it continued getting wet, wouldn't be good because it would continue to eat through the layers. But at the moment, this is just surface rust and it's nothing to worry about.
So anything else to add at this moment? Or is it, let's just go and trade, make some pennies, and then once we start on the inside bit doing some work, we'll do a video of that, and we'll do the video while we're grinding it and doing the bit of the rust converting bits at a time, won't we?
Yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about is this guy that's going to come and do the steel framework. Am I going to have to take I'm going to have to take the tarps off to do it, but I suppose you got to do what you got to do, haven't you?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and because they're old tarps, you don't want to keep taking them off and trying to refit them again.
No.
Because you can see there, they are wearing thin.
No, that one, I mean, that needs tape on it, on the outside, really. But
Oh, does it?
I don't want, it's where it's just where it's been rubbed.
We'll have to check if we've got any.
The angle it's at, you're not going to get rain pouring through it. It'd be different if it was flat, that would leak. But when it's running down it, you might get the odd drip off it. So I'm not too worried, because I think if I put tape on the outside, it really will look like
the house that Jack built.
We had a lucky find the other day. Bumped into some friends of ours on the blacksmith boat. I can't remember his name.
Greaves. I can't remember. Brian Greaves. Yep.
Brian Greaves, a blacksmith boat. Fantastic little setup they've got. He's actually got a working forge. He's a proper blacksmith on the cut. No messing around there. He's got a big forge. He's got, I suppose you could say it's like the shunt we used to have, except his is at the back of the main boat. So that's the engine, and they push their large living quarters. But anyway, he was selling some old AGM batteries, which are these things here. He'd only got 2 that were any good. They are second hand, they were used, but for the price they were, they're fantastic. They're still holding a charge, and they'll be good enough to run lighting and probably a water pump in it. I may need to put one other battery with them, but it's good, they're good. And there was an extra one that is no good, which is this one here, that's got a cross on it. I'm just going to use that as a bit of ballast. I'm going to tape up the terminals, and we're going to shove it right up in the bows, and it'll just add a little bit of weight there. And the good news was, what we paid for these is what you would have got if you took them and scrapped them in. So even if they're no good to us later on, we just get them to a scrapyard and you'll get the same cash back. But it was nothing. It was literally nothing. Yeah. I'm just trying to see how much it rocks, and it doesn't. You know, the shunt used to go like that.
Yeah, this one.
I think it was because you was right up in the bows of it, wouldn't you? You know, if you stand on the front of our boat...
Yeah, it moves.
You can make
but
it
here, you're basically in the middle bit of it.
Yeah.
And it does move a bit. You can see. That's my hand moving, not the boat. But yeah, it doesn't move that much, does it?
No.
So hopefully, once we've got some ballast and stuff in...
And what we're going to have Imagine this is a steel pole.
Yeah.
And imagine that's a bar coming down with a thing to hold the table.
Is that the technical word, the thing?
The thing. Right. So for the purpose
I'm
of
sorry
this-
if we're looking a bit dark in here when Steve steps down that way. It's because obviously we've got no lights here.
Right, so that's the table with the donut machine on. Okay? We need something that's going to fasten on there, and it'll have a loop up there and a bar coming down, and this would be it. So basically, it will be able to do that. Self-leveling. And what we'll do then is have a thing where we can lock it off once it's level that way.
Oh, so when it's in position, you mean, yeah.
So you lock it off, and then you only got to worry about that, which is not as bad as you remember. Donut machine being able to level along its length is what causes the problems. But just looking at that, it wouldn't actually need to be that high, but you've got something to clamp it onto there. Just little things that are going on in the head.
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say, we don't really want to be in your head right now. He's always got a little project going. He's drawing like mad at the moment.
I've got to be able to visualise it. If I can see it in my head and take it like a photograph, I can generally make it look like it's supposed to. This was the same when I was building this. Days before, I just kept, because I've never done anything like this before, not on a boat. I mean, I've built stuff out of wood, but I couldn't picture what I had to do. So you've got to go through the process, and I got some scrap wood, and I played around with it and made what I thought down at that end would be what we wanted. And then when it's good when you have a photograph in your head of something that you're thinking of, and it turns into roughly what you were thinking of. There you go. But you don't want to be in there.
No.
No.
So that's the end of another video for you all. I hope you're all going to keep following the journey. As I said, I'm sorry I didn't do the video of the making of this, but it did take nearly a week, didn't it, to build it, and it had a collapse. But from now on, any jobs that do get done on here will be videoed and documented, because the floor, I'm about at that level, really. So, hope you all have a great day. Say goodbye, Steve.
Goodbye, Steve.
And we'll catch you all again. Keep following, guys. Bye.